There's a very real prospect that no matter how safe a driver you are, this could happen to you.
If I am involved in a crash, will I get out of this vehicle? Will I walk away from it unharmed? Will my passengers walk away from it?
Those are pretty obvious questions. The answers, however, are not as simple. 4 car models that account for about 50% of vehicle sales in South Africa were shipped here to the crash test facility in Landsberg, Germany. Under highly confidential conditions, the vehicles are tested against the most rigorous safety standards in the world. The NCAPs rate a vehicle in terms of adult and child occupant protection on a scale of 0 to 5 stars. 2 adult-sized and 2 child-sized crash test dummies are meticulously placed in the vehicle in strictly standardized positions. One of the child-sized dummies, mimicking an 18-month-old, is placed in a rear-facing child seat, and the other, the size of a 3-year-old, is placed in a forward-facing child seat. Paint is applied to all the dummies so that contact with any part of the vehicle during the crash is easily spotted.
The Hyundai i20 is sold in the European market with 6 airbags as standard. European legislation makes that a minimum requirement. The same model sold in South Africa has only 2 airbags as standard. The guys have done their final checks and were about to send the car hurtling into a barrier at 64 kilometers an hour. Let's check it out.
The i20 gets a rating of 3 stars for driver and passenger and 2 stars for child occupants. The exact same model sold in Europe was tested in 2015 and achieved a 4-star Euro NCAP rating. I asked Global NCAP's technical director how the model sold in South Africa compares to the same model sold in Europe.
It has as a standard feature 2 frontal airbags only, doesn't have a standard feature for side airbags. And on top of that, we actually were surprised because the car for South Africa doesn't have the ISOFIX anchorages for child seats, which is a standard feature for the European version.
Some of the airbags have been removed that was standard on the 2015 model. What can a consumer take from the fact that the manufacturer has removed some of the safety features?
We expect to be treated in the same way, it doesn't matter where we live. So we expect when we buy a car which is looking exactly the same as another car, for example in this case from Europe, that we do have as a safety basic features the same thing as we do have in the European car. Why are we treated in a different way than European consumers or American consumers or Australian consumers?
Another one of the 4 vehicles shipped over to Germany is the Toyota Yaris. It goes on to score the highest of the 4 South African models tested, achieving 3 stars for both adult and child occupants.
There are almost 850,000 accidents on our roads every single year, in which more than 14,000 people on average die annually. Besides the catastrophic human cost, the cost to our economy, 143 billion rand. The Automobile Association's Leighton Beard.
The Automobile Association is, we've brought people to ADAC, we've brought people to this facility to look at the crash test. We definitely want to get this message of safety out to the public. We want people to be aware of it, and I think, we're only starting on that process now. At the end of the day, consumers will have to drive this process. There will have to be a demand from consumers on manufacturers, on government to say we want safer vehicles.
There clearly aren't the same minimum safety standards for manufacturers selling to the South African market as compared to other markets. Global NCAP, in partnership with the AA, last year launched the #SaferCarsForAfrica project, raising consumer awareness that some cars aren't equal, even if their badge and model is the same.
What we're doing with Global NCAP in South Africa is starting to push for that. But we need to create a demand in the market. What we're doing is offering consumer information independent, so consumers can take a decision, fleet managers, and voluntarily, not waiting for regulation, they can speed up the process.
In South Africa, for some models being sold locally, if you want additional airbags or electronic stability control, for example, you have to pay up. But should we?
And safety shouldn't be an optional extra on a vehicle. Safety shouldn't be something that you pay extra for. There should be a minimum standard. And that's a really critical mind shift that we think needs to happen in South Africa as well. So we are looking at the regulation. There needs to be changes in that. But there also needs to be a change in the mindset, in the perception of consumers when they're purchasing vehicles.
More to come on the ratings of the two other vehicles, the Nissan NP300 hardbody and the Kia Picanto. Michael Appel at the crash test facility in Landsberg in Germany.